Manesh. Hello and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So tell us about the path to becoming the psychedelic scientist.
It has its first beginnings when I was maybe 16, 17, 16. I got introduced to Zen Buddhism. So this is an interesting route into there. I got introduced to kind of Eastern spirituality and meditation through this random teacher at my high school. And I started reading about this stuff. And at the time, I was going through a rough period of high school. High school can be tough on people, getting bullied a little bit and getting down on myself. And read this book about how you can meditate and purify your mind and attain equanimity and enlightenment. And I was like, oh, if these people don't know about this, I know what's really important. And I kind of got really into it and started meditating and all these things. And then eventually I started reading, like my reading brought me to psychedelics. And I was like, oh, here's this drug that we've been told, makes us go crazy or whatever. And people speak of it in the same sentence as things like heroin, which is just insane. And anyway, I'm reading these books, which were, I think, one of the first ones that really impacted me was getting introduced to some of Stan Grof's work, who's a pioneering LSD psychiatrist. And at the time, I didn't have the background at that age to really understand fully everything, but I got the gist of it that he seemed to be suggesting that psychedelics can like catalyze these transformative experiences where people get insight into themselves and go deep into their mind and process things like emotions and past memories and radically alter how they perceive the world. And I was like, this is fascinating. People are still stigmatizing these things and denying their potential, but it seems there's something there. And then eventually, I was very interested in it by that. I originally wanted to go into philosophy or a philosophy and psychology double major. So that's what I want to do. I want to study the mind, but psychology wasn't doing it for me. I really like philosophy. And so I was like trying to merge the two. And then eventually I became a research assistant in a lab at UBC, University of British Columbia. And this lab was doing brain imaging research and I guess like psychology. It was in the psychology department on things like mind wandering, daydreaming, and meditation. And, these airy abstract things, but they were doing it, the lab was studying it in like a rigorous way. And I was like, here's things I'm interested in. And I could see potential movement towards psychedelics in the future through that. So then I got really into the brain imaging side. I was like, this is also more objective, it's grounded. We're actually looking at brain activity here and not these abstract psychological measures. And yeah, so eventually, long story short, I got really into that research, ended up actually publishing a couple of papers related to psychedelics with that researcher by the time I was finished. And now I'm in grad school. I'm a second year PhD student and doing some of my research on what's called the default mode network, which is a network in the brain that's related to some of our abstract aspects of our thinking. And then I also, a couple of years back, I wrote a proposal for a research project and sent it to some of the psychedelic researchers in London, people like Robin Carhart-Harris, on ways to analyze their data that they haven't done. And they were on board with it. And so now I have collaborations with them and I'm working with them on a couple of projects with psychedelic related brain data.